Hello everybody and welcome to the Year 4 homework review video for Block 4 Week 3. And this block, as you know, is English. We were working on several different types of tasks in your rapid tests book this week, which is this one here. So we were starting with section 2, test 3. Two of the words in each set do not go with the other three, and you had to underline these two words. So this is a bit of verbal reasoning practice. In the example, we have wide, high, broad, tall, and towering. Wide and broad are synonyms for wide, and high, tall, and towering are all synonyms as well for something that is high and tall. So it was wide and broad that were not related. A. Lilac, lavender, violet are all shades of purple, whereas crimson and scarlet are shades of red. B. Uncle and granddad are male relatives, whereas the others are female. Garden and driveway are outside the house rather than inside. And indifferent and unfocused are opposite to engaged, enthralled, and attentive. So these three words that are not underlined mean that you're paying attention to something, whereas unfocused and indifferent are opposite. Now, number 2, you have to decide which of the words in bold is the correct word for each sentence and underline them. So these are homophones. Homophones are words that are spelt differently and have different meanings but sound the same. So the example, I watched the bee fly overhead. Bee with a double E is the flying creature bee. With a single E, it's a verb, to be happy, to be busy, and so forth. So A, the lift was broken, so they had to walk up the stairs. The other spelling of stairs means when you stare at somebody. B, the driver could not see through the windscreen because of the mist. The other spelling, double S-E-D, is I missed the catch, or I missed my favourite television programme because I was out. C, the cut took a long time to heal. When it's spelt with a double E, that means the heel of your foot. Or you might say to a dog, heel. And D, this one's a tricky one. The mould in the flat began to affect his asthma. Affect is a verb, to affect something. Spelt with an E, it's the effect of something. It's something that has happened already. So affect is a verb. Try to remember that, and that will help you to use it correctly. The mould in the flat began to affect his asthma. If we use the other word, we might say something like the effect of the mould in the flat meant that the boy's asthma was playing up. You would word it differently, effect being an adjective as opposed to affect, which is a verb. That one is quite complicated. Number 3, add a prefix to the beginning of each word to change it to its opposite and write the word on the line. So we have unfinished, disengage, unfavourable, and dissimilar. And these prefixes make the word opposite to what it meant in the first place. Number 4, write out each sentence below on the line, replacing the words in bold with a contraction. So we use apostrophes to contract two words into one. Aaron did not want to go swimming becomes Aaron didn't want to go swimming. So the apostrophe replaces the O in not, and we put the two words together. So Nadia has not yet had her turn on the slide. Nadia hasn't yet had her turn on the slide. If I come in first in the race, I will be ecstatic. If I come first in the race, I'll be ecstatic. This time we have taken out the W and the I. I will becomes I'll. If you're not too confident with these yet, don't worry. It just takes a bit of practice and a bit of learning. Who has finished their presentation becomes who's finished their presentation. Ask the teacher. This would also have a capital letter at the beginning. Can't seem to edit it at the moment, but that would have a capital W. Who's finished their presentation? Ask the teacher. Note how, just as an aside, the question mark is inside the speech marks here. Now, we did talk about this in our lesson this week with regards to speech punctuation. The question mark is part of what the teacher is saying. Who's finished their presentation? So it goes inside the inverted commas. And D, we would like to spend the weekend in a town that is near the seaside. Becomes, we would like to spend the weekend in a town that's near the seaside. Number 5, in each sentence below, there is an incorrectly spelt word, and you have to find it, underline it, and write out the correct spelling. So A, the inventor created an incredible machine that's not spelt with an S, it's spelt with a C, machine. B, she adores the beautiful sound of the dawn chorus. CHORUS. I was fascinated by the colourful illustrations in the brochure. That's CH, not SH. And again, these might just need to be learned if you are not sure of their spellings. The applause echoed around the hall. Echo is spelt with an H, E-C-H-O-E-D. The council introduced a new recycling scheme. Scheme comes from, the sound of that comes from S-C-H. And Uma writes imaginative stories about mystical characters. Characters has an H in as well. Okay, moving on to pages 22 and 23. We're going to start by reading a short text. This is an extract from Dragon Red by Shu Rayner. The tall tower loomed over the town. At its foot, the hooded figure of a man pressed back into the dark shadows. He waited a moment to make sure he'd not been seen. There were no security cameras watching that part of the castle, as no one would be stupid enough to do what he was about to try. Slowly, hand over hand, inch by inch, fingers tightly gripping the sharp granite blocks, he scaled the fortress walls. A short while later, he appeared on top of the battlements, raised his arms, punched the air, and let out a wild cry of triumph. As the sound faded, another shape overshadowed him. Huge wings unfurled against a bright moonlit sky. The unmistakable silhouette of a dragon. It opened its mouth wide, roaring jets of red and yellow flame into the night. The man's face glowed in the blazing light. A smile spread across his face. The man climbed up awkwardly onto the dragon's back. As one, the dragon and its master swooped over the rooftops, blazing fire and leaving a trail of gleeful laughter in their wake. Curtained bedroom windows lit up as the townsfolk were woken from their peaceful dreams. An alarm sounded. Sirens wailed in the distance. A loud electronic voice broke into Harry's dream. This is a police emergency announcement. All residents must stay indoors. Do not leave your house for any reason. I repeat, stay indoors. A dragon has escaped. If you see it, report it at once. Under no circumstances should you approach it yourself. Wake up, Harry. The police are here. They want to talk to you. Harry's mum gently shook her son awake. Harry threw the covers off and sat up in bed, blinking and shaking the sleep out of his eyes. He felt confused and muzzy. He'd been dreaming of the dragons. Was this still the dream? We're going to answer a few questions about the text now. And you have to simply write A, B, C or D on the answer line. First of all, what has escaped? We know it's a dragon, C. At what time of day is the passage set? It's set at night time. Now, there are different ways we know this. First of all, in the second sentence, it tells us the hooded figure of a man pressed into the dark shadows. So that gives us a clue that it could be night time. And if we look at the bottom paragraph, where the dragon escapes, huge wings unfurled against the bright moonlit sky. And it opened its mouth wide, roaring jets of red and yellow flame into the night. So there's a few places there where it tells us that the passage is set at night time. What do the police tell the residents to do? That's C, stay inside. And the police have arrived at Harry's house. So the police emergency announcement says all residents must stay indoors. Do not leave your house for any reason. I repeat, stay indoors. And then Harry's mum wakes him up and says the police are here and they want to talk to you. Now we've got a more detailed question. What was the hooded figure of a man trying to do when he pressed back into the dark shadows? Now you get 2 marks for this because you are also asked to explain your answer. So first of all, you say what the man was doing and then you explain why. And he was trying to hide because he was about to climb up the side of the castle to take the dragon. Now, you might have worded it differently to this. These are just examples of how you might answer the question. We know he was trying to hide because it tells us he waited a moment to make sure he'd not been seen. There were no security cameras watching that part of the castle, as no one would be stupid enough to do what he was about to try. And then if we read on a little bit longer, we see what he was looking for. He was looking for the dragon. Number 6 tells us to look at lines 6 to 7. How do you think the man feels when he reaches the top of the battlements? And this is another example answer. However, there are 4 marks for this. So you would want to go into a bit more detail than question 5 to make sure that you can get as many marks as possible. So one example here, I think that he feels happy. You would get 1 mark for that, for saying how you think he feels. And then, depending on how many points you make in your answer, you would get more points added on. So this answer says that he punched the air and let out a loud cry of triumph. So that's 2 things that this person has said, which means this answer might be worth 3 marks. Let's have a look at line 6 to 7 now. And it's this section here. A short while later, he appeared on top of the battlements, raised his arms, punched the air, and let out a wild cry of triumph. So if you incorporate all of those details, you would get your 4 marks for that answer there. How does a man get off the castle roof? And he climbs on the dragon's back, and the dragon flies away with him on it. Number 8 asks you to name 2 sounds that the town's residents might have heard after the dragon escaped. There's a few options you could put here. You might say the man's laughter and the sound of the dragon flying, or the sound of fire blazing, alarms, sirens, the police announcement, a loudspeaker, the electronic voice coming through it. So there are a few different options there that you could choose. And as long as you say 2 of them, you would get 2 marks. Why did Harry feel confused and muzzy? He had just woken up. He had been dreaming of dragons, so he wasn't sure what was real. Have you ever had that once where you've woken up and you've been completely in a dream and then you're not quite sure for a few minutes or a few seconds whether you're still dreaming? That's quite a funny feeling, but it does happen. Okay, and 10. The words on the left in blue can all be found in the text. You have to draw lines to match each word with its meaning. Now, you can use a dictionary for this. That's absolutely fine when you're doing your homework and your lesson work. If you want to use a dictionary to check the meanings of words, that is absolutely fine. And do please remember to use your word and meaning books that you've got. This can be your own personal dictionary then that you can refer to and use throughout the course. So scaled means climbed. Fortress is a castle. Triumph is victory. Silhouette is a dark outline like a shadow. Sirens, alarms, and residents are inhabitants of a house. Okay, moving on to the next test on pages 24 to 25. This was section 2, test 5. Change the tense of each sentence into the present perfect and write out the new sentence on the line. So the example is simple present here. I lost my purse. Now it's I have lost my purse in present perfect. Use the same structure for each question. I played for my school netball team becomes I have played for my school netball team. Yasmin cycled 10 kilometres in one day becomes Yasmin has cycled 10 kilometres in one day. They worked very hard for their exams becomes they have worked very hard for their exams. And Zara was a vet for 6 years. Zara has been a vet for 6 years. Don't worry if this sounds confusing at the moment. It will come up again in different teaching, either with Teach It Right or in your schools. And you can always do some research on tenses if you wish to. Now, the passage below was missing some punctuation, which you then had to correct. So, as it was Thursday, Amy's class was going swimming. We needed a capital T for Thursday and a full stop after swimming. It was their favourite day of the week. As the class gathered in the changing room, they talked excitedly about breaststroke and front crawl. So again, we needed a comma after changing room. We needed a capital A as the class gathered and a full stop after crawl. When can we get in? The children asked their teacher. We needed a capital W on when, a question mark, and then the inverted commas to close the speech. When can we get in? The children asked their teacher. One boy named Nathan jumped in straight away. Splash! We needed a capital N for Nathan and an exclamation mark for splash. Now, number 3, choose the best determiners from the box below to complete each sentence. Write them on the lines and each word can only be used once. Now, a determiner introduces a noun. It can also be called an article. You might sometimes see that. You need to choose the correct one to make the sentence make sense. Would he like more food or has he had enough? When you select your words, it's also a good idea to cross them out as you use them so that you can keep track of the words you've used and also to correct any mistakes. Every day I brush my teeth. This is also a pronoun. Please can you put that knife with these forks? Plural of forks, that's why it's these. And there is an old saying, many hands make light work. So read beyond the gap to see what the sentence is trying to say. Part 4. The words in each sentence have been jumbled up and an extra word has been added that is not needed. This is a reshuffled sentence practice. You have to unjumble the sentence so that it makes sense and write the extra word that's been used. So you can write in your jotters here if you want to write out what the sentence should be like. That's absolutely fine. So for example, I broccoli dislike really against. Should be, I really dislike broccoli. Against is the extra word that we don't need. That one out. When you're rearranging sentences, there are few things to think about. A sentence always contains a subject and a verb. So when you're looking at the words, have a think about what the subject might be, what or who is the sentence about, and where's the verb. Pick those things out. Often sentences start with a determiner, like we've just looked at, that introduces a noun. Or it might be a pronoun like I or my. Or it could be somebody's name or the name of something. So have a look out for those little words and see if you can find out see if you can restructure the sentence and then find out the extra words. So A should be, when will the party finish? And you put your question mark after finish. So the extra word is balloon. And you have some clues here actually in terms of which letters are capitalized. So these are very nice clues for you that you don't tend to get in year 5 that can help you figure out what the starting word should be like. So we don't need the word adult in part B. And the sentence is going to read, she has never liked ham, or she never has liked ham. June does not belong in sentence C. So the sentence is going to read, winter is the coldest time of year. And D, we don't want grass. So the sentence says, the flowers in your garden look beautiful. Or the flowers look beautiful in your garden. Both ways make sense. Number 5, choose the best fronted adverbial to start each sentence below. Again, each one can only be used once, so you might find it useful to cross them out of the word bank as you use them. Upstairs, the king was asleep in his 4-poster bed. Occasionally, I like to drink a cup of coffee. Curiously, Maisie lifted the lid and peeked inside. Cheerfully, Stephen whistled as he swept the porch. So there was also a couple of extra ones there that you didn't need as well. Well done, everybody. Hope that has been helpful to you. As always, do email your tutors if you have any questions.